Imagine for a moment the grand tapestry of human history. For thousands upon thousands of years, the rhythm of life was dictated by the sun and the seasons. We planted seeds by hand, powered our mills with water, powered our mills with wind, traveled at the speed of a horse. Our cosmic address was local, our world defined by the horizon. Then, in a flicker of geological time, a profound shift occurred. It wasn't an asteroid or a supernova, it was an idea, a spark of ingenuity that would ignite a revolution. This wasn't a revolution of swords or cannons. It was one of gears, steam, and iron. It was a moment when humanity decided to rewrite its own rules, to harness the hidden forces of nature, and build a new world, one machine at a time. This singular event would ripple across the globe, fundamentally altering how we live, work, and connect with each other. So what exactly was this industrial revolution? Think of it as a great awakening of human potential. It was the transition from making things by hand to making things with machines. Before this era, a single person might spend days weaving one bolt of cloth. Afterward, a machine could produce that same amount in a fraction of the time. Humanity learned to convert heat into motion, automate tasks that had been laborious for millennia, and organize production on a massive scale. This monumental shift began in a rather small place, the island of Great Britain in the late 18th century. Why there? It was a perfect storm of conditions. Britain had abundant coal and iron ore, stable government, a culture of scientific inquiry, and a colonial empire that provided raw materials and markets. A series of clever inventions, one building upon the next, started a chain reaction. It was like a single falling domino that would eventually topple lines of dominoes across continents. The first whispers of industry started in the textile mills, but soon that whisper would grow into a deafening roar that echoed around the planet. Let's travel back to Britain in the 1760s. The air is thick with the smell of coal smoke and the clatter of machinery. This is where our story gets its engine. At the heart of it all was the steam engine, a truly revolutionary piece of technology. Initially designed by Thomas Newcomen to pump water out of flooded coal mines, it was later perfected by James Watt. Watt's improvements made the steam engine vastly more efficient. Suddenly, humanity had a power source that wasn't dependent on a river's flow or a gust of wind. It could be put anywhere you could haul coal. This was a game changer. The steam engine was the muscle of the Industrial Revolution, capable of tirelessly performing work that would have required hundreds of people or animals. This newfound power immediately transformed the textile industry. Imagine trying to spin thread by hand. It's a slow, painstaking process. Then came inventions like the spinning jenny, the water frame, which could spin multiple threads at once. But when these machines were hooked up to a steam engine, the real magic happened. Production exploded. Factories filled with rows of these mechanical wonders sprang up in cities like Manchester. They could run 24 hours a day, churning out cloth at a rate previously unimaginable. This abundance of cheap quality textiles changed everything, from the clothes people wore to the economic power of nations. But what good is making all these goods if you can't move them? The steam engine had an answer for that too. The same principle of using steam to push a piston was adapted to create the steam locomotive. In 1825, the world's first public railway, the Stockton and Darlington Line, opened in England. Suddenly, the world felt smaller. Heavy goods like coal and iron could be transported overland with astonishing speed and efficiency. People could travel between cities in a matter of hours, a journey that once took days. The railway was the circulatory system of the industrial world, pumping goods, people, and ideas. The lonely whistle of a steam train cutting through the night was the sound of a newly connected world. These inventions created a powerful feedback loop. The steam engine needed coal, so mining operations deepened. Deeper mines needed more powerful steam engines to pump out water. The engines and rails themselves were made of iron, which fueled a boom in iron production. And all these industries required a massive, concentrated workforce. This was more than just new technology. It was a complete reorganization of human society itself, built on a foundation of coal, iron, and steam power. The spark that ignited in Britain did not stay there for long. Ideas, especially powerful ones, have a way of crossing borders. entrepreneurs, engineers, traveling from mainland Europe and America to Britain, arriving by ship, eager to witness this new industrial marvel. Some came to learn, others to steal secrets, sketching machines in hidden notebooks, memorizing factory layouts, carrying the seeds of revolution home. Belgium, France, Germany, rich deposits of coal and iron following Britain's lead. Industrial might became the measure of power and prosperity. The race was on. America embraced industrialization with incredible vigor. Samuel Slater worked in a British textile mill, memorized a water-powered spinning machine, and recreated it in Rhode Island in 1793. Called the father of the American Industrial Revolution, the United States had vast natural resources and a spirit of innovation. Eli Whitney and the cotton gin provided more cotton to northern mills. But industrial growth deepened reliance on enslaved labor in the South. The spread of industrialization wasn't uniform. It rippled outwards in waves. Resources, capital, stable political environment. By the late 19th century, Western Europe and North America were rooted in industry. Japan, Meiji Restoration 1868, leaders modernizing to compete, sent scholars abroad, hired foreign experts, built railways, built shipyards, built factories, and transformed from feudal to industrial power. A new world connected by trade, technology, and competition. Steamships replacing sailing vessels, shrinking ocean voyages from months to weeks. Cotton from India, rubber from the Congo, tin from Southeast Asia shipped to industrial centers in Europe and America. Manufactured goods sold back to colonial markets. This forged an interconnected global economy, but created power imbalances as industrial nations exerted influence over non-industrialized regions. The revolution was not just changing nations, it was redrawing the map of global power. Life under the new industrial regime was, honestly, a story of stark contrasts, a world of both incredible opportunity and profound hardship. For the first time in history, there was this massive demand for labor in cities. People flocked from the countryside, drawn by the promise of steady wages and, a new life. The cities themselves exploded in size. London, Paris, New York. Their populations doubling and even tripling in just a few decades. This rapid urbanization was a spectacle of human energy and ambition. New buildings scraped the sky. Gas lamps illuminated streets at night. Department stores offered a dazzling array of consumer goods. To many, it really seemed like a golden age of progress was dawning. However, beneath this glittering surface lay a much darker reality. These new industrial cities were often crowded, unsanitary, and, dangerous. Working-class families were crammed into poorly built tenement housing with no running water, no sanitation. Streets were filled with filth and disease. Cholera and typhoid spread like wildfire through the dense populations. The very air was thick with black smoke belching from thousands of factory chimneys. The factory floor itself was a new kind of battlefield. Work was grueling, monotonous, and incredibly dangerous. Laborers, including women and very young children, worked long hours. 12 to 16-hour days, 6 days a week, in deafeningly loud and unsafe conditions. Machines had no safety guards. Horrific accidents were commonplace. A moment's inattention could lead to a lost finger, a mangled arm, or even death. There was no job security, no compensation for injury, and absolutely no safety net. The rhythm of life was dictated by the relentless pace of the machine and the shrill blast of the factory whistle. It was a world that valued productivity above all else, often at a terrible human cost. Yet even amidst this hardship, the seeds of change were being sown. Workers began to organize, forming the first trade unions, fighting for their rights through strikes and protests, laying the foundation for many labor protections we take for granted today. As we stand here in 2025, surrounded by the marvels of the 21st century, it's easy to forget that the world we inhabit was forged in the fires of the Industrial Revolution. Think about the global supply chains that bring food to our tables and gadgets to our pockets. They are the direct descendants of the railways and steamships that first connected the planet. The concept of a 9-to-5 workday, the division between our home lives and our work lives, the very existence of sprawling urban centers, all of these are artifacts of the industrial age. We are living in the house that the 19th century built, even if we've extensively renovated it with digital technology. The spirit of innovation that drove James Watt and other inventors is the same spirit that fuels Silicon Valley today. The relentless drive to make things faster, smaller, and more efficient is a continuation of the same quest that began in the textile mills of Manchester. The Industrial Revolution taught us to systematically apply science and engineering to solve practical problems, a mindset that has led to every technological leap since. From the automobile to the airplane, from the transistor to the internet. We have swapped steam power for processing power, but the underlying impulse, to harness energy and information to reshape our world, remains the same. It is the engine of our modern civilization. Of course, we have also inherited the challenges. The concerns about pollution that began with smoky factories in the 19th century have evolved into the global crisis of climate change. The social inequalities that emerged between factory owners and workers have morphed into today's debates about wealth disparity and the gig economy. The questions that the Industrial Revolution forced upon humanity. How do we balance progress with preservation? How do we ensure that the benefits of technology are shared by all, are more urgent now than ever before? We are still grappling with the social and environmental consequences of that great acceleration. But the ultimate message of the Industrial Revolution is one of extraordinary human potential. It was a testament to our species' ability to radically transform our circumstances through sheer ingenuity and collaborative effort. It proved that the world we are born into is not the only world possible. That same power of innovation now gives us the tools to address the problems we've created, to build a more sustainable and equitable future. From the first steam engine to the global network that connects us all, the journey of human progress continues. The next revolution is always just around the corner, waiting for a new spark of imagination to set it in motion. The cosmos, after all, is not done with us yet.